A women's shelter in Ottawa is planning to revamp its facility so it can start accepting pets in the near future. Research shows a high number of women will stay with their abuser for a longer period of time if there's a pet in the house, because they fear the pet could also be injured. And those fears often become a reality. 89% of women in shelters report their animals suffered similar abuse to them. Joining us from Windsor is Amy Fitzgerald. She's an associate professor at the University of Windsor and has studied this connection between domestic violence and the treatment of companion animals. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
This fear, as we outlined for people just off the top there, is very real. Women are worried because of the treatment of their animals to leave them behind. So what kind of companionship do these animals offer? And what does this mean that you're hearing stories of shelters now accepting and making space for animals to come with?
Well, we've found that women really empathize with the treatment of their animals. So as you mentioned, 89% of the women we surveyed reported their pets had been mistreated by their partner. And they see a lot of similarities between the way that they're treated and the way that their pets are treated. So it fosters a sense of empathy. The pets provide companionship for them. And in a lot of instances, abusers will isolate their human victims. And so for a lot of these women, their pets are really the last source of companionship and comfort that they have.
You know, some surprising numbers coming out of your research, including 20% of pets can actually be killed by an abusive partner.
Yes. We were surprised that it was that high. And the women we surveyed also reported severe forms of injury as well, like stabbings that didn't result in death, but resulted in significant injury.
When you take a look at the shelter in Ottawa making moves like this, is this something you'd like to see across the country?
Yes, I think it would certainly help. It would reduce another barrier that women face in leaving abusive relationships. And in our survey, we found that just over half of the women we sampled reported that they delayed leaving their partner because of concern for their pets. So being able to bring their pets to shelter with them really would help quite a few women to leave that abusive relationship. And in addition, we found that a third of the women that we surveyed who hadn't been able to bring their pets to the shelter with them and who had left their pet with their partner reported that they were considering leaving the shelter and going back to their abuser because they were concerned for their pet.
So aside from shelters making space for pets to be allowed to come too, it eliminates maybe one of the fears of leaving, also a deterrent for returning back if the pet is with them. But what kind of comfort does it offer to women in shelters to have the animal there with them in terms of recovery and moving forward?
Well, it's an area that we need further research on because these programs are relatively new. There are 8 in Canada that I'm aware of, and at my last count, there are 140 in the US. So we really do need research to figure out how women and their children are impacted by having their pets with them. But based on what we know from other areas of research, pet therapy is extremely helpful in coping in traumatic situations. So this is likely a form of support that women and their children would really benefit from.
I mean, it's an interesting angle on an important discussion. Thanks for bringing it to our attention this morning.
Thank you.